Jemi live me Giulia Merlinin. Giulia është aktiviste në Itali kundra kampeve të burgimit të emigrantëve. Ishte edhe në protestën tonë të fundit dhe foli pak për eksperiencën e saj. Sot do bëjmë një intervistë me Giulian për eksperiencën e saj në këto kampe. So, Giulia, can you tell us a little bit about your activism, what your collective does, and why you're against these camps?
Okay. Thank you for the invitation. And I am an activist, I am an anarchist, and I am an activist in Torino, that is a city in the north of Italy, where till last year we had a very huge detention center. In Italy they are called CPR, but till 5 or 6 years ago, I don't remember exactly, they were CIE, that means Centri di Identificazione ed Espulsione. That means that that kind of center are to arrest and for the detention of people without the regular paper, so without the residence permit to stay in Italy or in Europe in general. And the state, in this case, try to understand who they are, in what, from what country they come, and try to send them again in their country, because they don't have the permission to stay in our country. Do you want to translate or I go?
You can continue.
Okay. So, I think that it's problematic, the existence of a place like that, because it's in Italy now it's very difficult to get the residence permit, and so it's like for not just not white people, but people without the right papers. It's very difficult to have the residence permit in Italy or in Europe. So it's always more common to try for people that arrive in Italy or lost the residence permit to finish to make some illegal works, because it's you can have the residence permit for the work and you can have a work without a residence permit. So you can see that it's strange. And the big part of people arriving in Lampedusa don't arrive in Torino. In Torino, the big part of the people are inside the detention center, is people that used to live in Italy, in Torino for months or years, and then they got arrested for something. The police can ask them the document they don't have, and so they finish them there. And in that place, there are not human rights. The police brutality is very hard, and so what we do with my collective is try to bring solidarity to them. So we were used to go under the prison, the detention center, and to support the people in strike, or it was common they could make some hunger strike or stuff like that, because they didn't have the permission to meet the family, to did the call, to eat normal food. It means that often the food that arrives at the center is not good. There are vermi, worms, and there are very bad conditions.
So in Torino, in that camp, you have,
in all the camps,
people who have been living there for years maybe, and they're caught by the police doing something illegal or just without papers, and are brought to this camp, where then what happens there? So they get identified and potentially repatriated, or why do they stay in that camp? What is the purpose of that camp?
The purpose of that camp is to identify them and send them again in their countries. And usually now it's always more common the police can do it, because it's It depends to the accommodation of the moment. The maximum, if you are without papers and the police stop you, you go in a detention center. It's not clear you go in the one of your city. Because, for example, now in Torino there is not a camp because the people inside the camp destroyed it last year with the fire because of the condition during some protest. And in the north now there is one in Milano, one in Veneto, close to Venezia, and other. But it's not clear that they don't have the obligation to take you in the one closest. You can also go in one in Lampedusa. I met some people that from Torino has been in Macomer. Macomer is in Sardinia, that is an island, and it's very difficult to arrive there. Also, when you go out of the center, you are in the middle of the sea, so it's complicated. And it's not that I don't see the connection between something illegal and to go in the detention center. Sometimes it happens because maybe you do illegal stuff and you go to the prison. But if you are in the normal prison, the one for the illegal things, and you go out from the prison and you don't have the document, you go directly to the detention center for migrants, to the CPR.
So you're telling me then that the people who were in that center in Torino are both the people who are living in that area and are brought there once they're identified as not having their papers, but also people who are coming from the sea and who escape the camps in Lampedusa and Sardinia, the islands there, right? So these two groups.
No, in Sardinia
Sardinia is people who come from the sea?
No, because I don't know if you know where is Sardinia. It's not like Lampedusa. It's more in the north.
I was thinking Sicily, sorry.
No.
Okay.
Sardinia is another island. It's very difficult to arrive till Sardinia with the ship from Libya. They take people from other detention centers, for example the one in Torino when they destroyed it. The police took people and to Macomer, to Sardinia with the flight.
Okay.
It's not that, it's something like people in the detention center are like objects. They don't care about.
For how long has the government been doing it?
Years, 20 years.
These camps?
Yes.
Years. Okay. Can they actually repatriate them? Because
yes.
One of the things that we hear most often is that repatriation is difficult because they cannot send them to places where their life is in danger and in places where they don't have agreements with the state.
No, it's not true. It's not true because we have the agreements with the big part of the states from the people arrives, and they don't care about the situation you have in your country. And you don't what the people see in this place, we call them lager because they are like lager. People prefer to stay in prison than in that place. They don't meet lawyers, they don't meet someone that's asking what is their situation in their countries. They meet just police and police brutality. And so they don't care about the situation in their country. And so, as I told you during the protest, the repatriation came in very brutal way because often, of course, they don't want to come back in their countries because they had a lot of reason to escape, I don't know. And so the police put drugs in their food before of their repatriation, and they are forced. Sometimes they are legati, handcuffed with the hands and foot to their planes. And in some cases, people in the planes refuse to see the scene, because you can just imagine you are taking the flight to go somewhere and you see a scene like that. A group of policemen with one or more person not in condition to flight and with the manette that scream and don't want to stay there, don't want to take the flight. And so of course people say, no, you can't do this. And so now they are taking, for example, all the Tuesday they make the flights for Algeria. I don't know if it's the right connection, but maybe they make only a big flight from Rome, and they took people from all the detention center in the other city to Rome to take a flight from Rome to Algeria. And they make the same with Morocco, they make the same with Tunisia, they make the same with Libya, and it's, for example, during the protest we met a guy from Albania that he always lived in Italy. He came in Italy when he was 12 or 13, and I don't know why, I don't remember. He lost the residence permit, and so in a police check they could see that he hadn't more the residence permit. I think he was trying to have it again, and he has been in a detention center, and then they took him to Tirana. And he called us and said, I don't know no one in Tirana because I came here with my family when I was 12. I just have some aunties, but it was weird for him, of course. And this is the situation of a lot of people, because in Torino, but also in other cities in the north of Italy, it's very common in the peripheria, in the popular neighborhood where the big part of migrants live, to make huge police control in all the neighborhood. And it's more common not for Albanians but for people that is not white, that it's clear you're not Italian. That the police can just ask the documents just because they want to see if you have the residence permit or not.
Why do you think the government is doing this? Have migrants really become a problem for your societies?
I don't think so.
Why do you think the government is doing these camps then?
It's not this government.
Because I'm thinking of, the government. I'm thinking you have people who have been living there for years, who are working and contributing in that country, so it doesn't make any sense to take them and repatriate them if they're already integrated into your societies, you know? So what is the thinking behind the government? Why are these camps necessary?
Well, it's not this government that made these camps, because they are very old. We have these camps since 20 years,
yes,
I guess.
I get it, but what is the thinking behind it?
I think because this government try to improve them, because it's a fascist government. And I think people in Italy, we have a lot of problems, like in the big part of countries of Union Europe, and not just this, but. And I think it's more easy for people to say that the problem is something else, something that you can fix in some ways, like that you're not fixing nothing, because people is continuing to stay in Italy, arriving in Italy. It's just that some of the people have a terrible condition and they are afraid to go around, because they are, I know I have friends without papers, and they are afraid to go in some neighborhoods because they know that there are a lot of checks, and they don't want to finish in the camps, of course. And I think it's weird, because
have the checks always been strict, or do they get stricter depending on the government?
It depends to the government, but not just to the governments, to the Bashkia, to the city, to the municipality, and to the neighborhoods. And if something happens, of course, for example, in my neighborhoods there are a lot of that there is a lot of drugs. A lot of people is sending drugs. So they use this excuse to ask the documents to all the people, not white, passing through the neighborhood. And of course, not all people is sending drugs. Just 5 or 6 persons maybe are doing this. But they close all the streets, and you can't escape because it's impossible. They use huge numbers of policemen, really a lot. It's something you can. One day, a lot of years ago, I don't remember, maybe 6 or 7, we tried to put ourselves in the middle between the police check and people because we wanted to help to escape. But the police continued the check, of course, and they beat us and they arrested some of my comrades, saying that we were violent and we arrived there to attack them, and it wasn't true. We were just making some slogan, and they say that we are violent just because we try to send inside the detention center our number of telephone because we want to be in contact with the migrant to bring solidarity, and it's not legal. You can't do it.
So the people inside the camp lit the camp on fire, right? They
in
burned
Torino,
it
yes.
down. And what happened after that? So
They closed the
did the people
camp.
escape? Did they open another camp?
No, no one escaped. Someone tried to escape, but they couldn't. They freed a lot of people because they have a maximum of time you can stay inside the camp. I don't remember exactly how much is now. I think 6 months, but I'm not sure. But I will check. Some years ago it was 19 months. Then it was 3 months. Then it was 9 months. So it's between this period, and some of them were close to the finish of the period, and so they decided to free the people. So a lot of people got freed, and other person got transferred to other camps. For example, a lot of them went in Macomer, that it's the camp in Sardinia I was speaking of before, and it was weird because some of them have always been in Torino, and so when maybe they had just 1 month and they didn't make their repatriation, but when they went out of the camp, they were in Sardinia and they didn't know how to come back in Italy. It's not that Sardinia is not Italy, but it's an island. So they were, how can I do it? And so at the telephone, we were trying to explain them how to take the boat to come back in Genoa and then in Torino. And other in the one in Gradisca di Zonzo, and other in Milano. They say that they say a lot of different stuff. It's like the Jeta camp. It's not clear what they are going to do, because they say that they want to fix the previous camp and to build another one. And then they say that they want to build totally from nothing, from new, I don't know how to say, a new camp,
Okay.
out of the city. It close to another Bashkia, that it's Chirie, that it's in the middle of nothing. And I think they will do this because they are trying to build the camps in the middle of nothing, because in this way no one can see what is happening inside, and it's also more difficult to bring solidarity to the migrants, because
Are there any efforts to close these camps? Legal, political efforts?
no,
No.
I think it's impossible.
They're broadly accepted as normal.
Yes, but it's not just in Italy. We have this camp in all Union Europe. In France they are CRA. I don't know the name in Spain. They have the same also the accordation is different in Switzerland. In Germany they have the same, and it's more or less always the same. I think Italy and Greece are two of the worst countries to get in the camp, because I don't know, France and Germany maybe are more careful to the attention of human rights, but we are not, and also Greece.
What are your worries about the camp that they'll put here in Jeta? So we are outside the EU, so even less training of our personnel when it comes to managing these situations. I know that the personnel inside the camp will be Italian and trained, but there's been plenty of cases where our police has mistreated the immigrants who are coming from Greece, who take the Balkan route, and so many organizations have expressed their concern about the fact that the camp will be placed outside the EU, where human rights are not respected in the same way.
I think for me, I don't trust the Italian police, so I don't think that I feel more safe there is Italian personality or Italian police inside the camp. I think what is problematic for me is, first of all, the post-colonial relationship between the two countries, Italian and Albania, because we can't forget what Italy did to Albanian migrants, to Albania in general with the occupation, and I think it's very weird we did this accordation, but I think it's very weird also that Albania could approve it, because come on, how can you do it? Did you forget about Vlora and the 300 people that died in just one day trying to arrive in Bari? I didn't forget it, and I think also a lot of Albanians. And I think it's not clear. I think that maybe you know better than me. What I understood from because in Italy it's not still published the text of the accordation, so I couldn't read it, no one could. I think they will bring here, in Jeta, people from the sea before to arrive in Lampedusa, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I think it's weird because you should help people in the middle of the sea, and you are not doing this, and you are taking people from the middle to the sea to go in a country that is not the country where they want to arrive, is not their country, is a third country that we don't know what is the connection. And 3,000 persons are a lot of people, because in Torino they were in very bad, shitty situation, and they were 200, 300, not 3,000. So it's a very huge number. And how can you guarantee? Sorry, when I speak more, it's difficult. Sorry. Guarantee the human rights if you are in a huge place with 3,000 people not speaking the same language and with different needs. It's very weird. And I think also in Italy, also in small camps, not always they can do their repatriation for everyone, because someone is not clear from where the people are, because people lie, of course, because they have good reason to go away from their country, so they don't want to say the truth. Maybe they don't have the documents. So how can you be sure? How can you check what are you thinking of about the people? And I'm asking to myself, if you're not, you have a maximum of time that I think it will be clear when they will publish the accordation. Finish the time. If the police is not going to make the repatriation, how will be of the people? So people will be free, but in Albania. That it's not in Union Europe. They are still in the Balkan route, still in a weird situation. They are not safe. They are not in the place where they want to be. Albania has a lot of problems. And what can Albania guarantee to these people? I think
they will most likely fall prey to trafficking.
Yes, and it's not helping no one. Just some Italians that don't want to find a solution.
And not even Italy as much, because in the best case scenario, we'll be taking around 36,000 people a year. And last year you got something like 120,000 into your country. So the number is not big.
No.
It really seems to just be a political move to prove to the people that they are doing something to solve the migration problem without actually solving the migration problem. Plus, it will cost Italy much more than it would cost to set up these camps in Italy. So it all seems nonsensical and purely a political move.
And I think also that probably if the people will be free in Albania without a reason to stay here, and sorry, they don't want to come in Albania, they want to arrive in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And probably from Italy they want to arrive in France because no one wants to stay also in Italy, but it's closer to the country where they want to go.
Yes.
So probably they will be in duress, trying to take another gommone to arrive again illegally in Italy.
Or go through Montenegro and up into Europe.
And so giving other money to other mafia organizations. So I don't know.
Thank you, Julia,
Thank
for
you.
sharing your experience of those camps with us. And this gives us a better understanding of what could potentially happen to the camp here as well. Considering their awful conditions there, they will likely rebel, and then it's unclear what will happen to the people who won't be repatriated, because the agreement doesn't specify.
Probably it will be more clear in the next weeks.
Once it happens.
When do you think they will start?